Hey guys, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good? Thanks, Stevie.
You're welcome.
I was looking for the answer. Leave it to the auctioneer to speak out, eh? Guys, Andrea, this is my friend Andrea. We met through our New You Challenge intake. She was part of the master's program, came in the daytime. So just one of my AM girls she kept on. What I found interesting about Andrea is for her second career, she finished marketing? Sales and marketing career. As a second career, she went back to school just more recent than not.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And took a holistic nutrition course, registered holistic nutrition course. Through our conversations in the gym in our class, we came together with an idea to put this challenge out together. So Andrea is going to be facilitating the challenge for us. So she's come up with our program. She's going to introduce it to you guys, and any questions along the way, just feel free to ask. You know how we usually roll, so don't be shy. Okay, Janice? All right. Andrea, take it away.
Thank you very much, Coach Nick. First of all, I'd like to thank the coach for having me here today to talk to you about a diet a nutrition plan that I'm very committed to, and that I think you will enjoy as you hear more about it. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming and taking time out of your day to listen to this, what Coach Nick and I find a very imperative part of a complete nutrition and fitness plan. So, having said that, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about myself, not a lot. As Nick said, I was in sales and marketing for my entire career, but always had a passion for nutrition and always had a passion for fitness. I was very thin until I was in my 30s, and then when in my late 30s I started to gain weight as I moved up the corporate ladder. I don't think there's any surprise there. I devoted my time to my career and to my kids and to my family, and I put myself last, which was not the most important thing to do at the time. But it's the way we all live today. We all live extremely busy lives, and sometimes we put ourselves on the back burner. So with the coaching and the fitness and meeting Coach Nick in October, I have really melded my two passions together, and that is nutrition, fitness, longevity, living longer, living healthy longer, and fitness, which I had also not been really good at because I went back to school 2 years ago. Went back to school to become a registered holistic nutritionist at the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition in Mississauga. It's the largest in Canada. It was an extremely intensive course in a very short period of time, so I became one of those students that, you know, didn't sleep properly, didn't eat properly, didn't see anybody, just devoted my entire life to getting the credentials that I needed. And then I've spent the past, I guess I graduated a year ago, November actually, so I've spent the time since then doing a lot of research. My target market is mostly baby boomers, so the master's class for Coach Nick. I joined the challenge and just really, really excited to be here today to talk to you about how you can now incorporate nutrition into your fitness and what it will do for you, for your lifestyle, to shed weight if that is your goal, and to enhance your performance as an athlete, because it will do that as well, and to help you feel better all the time, which is, you know, gives you more energy to do all the things that you need to do in the lifestyles that we have created for ourselves today. So without any further ado, I'm going to talk to you about the zone diet. It's also called the 40-30-30 because it is made up of 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, and 30% fat. And as I talk and as you go through this, you will see why that is so important to your body. Your body as a machine, you can think of it as feeding your cells. So instead of thinking of feeding your body, thinking of feeding your cells, which make up your body. So the zone diet was developed by a biochemist by the name of Dr. Barry Sears back in the early 80s, for which he won a Nobel Prize for identifying that really the problem behind obesity is insulin. And insulin is the hormone that stores the fat in your fat cells, but it's also a hormone that facilitates the glucose that comes from what you eat in getting into your cells. So it's a good thing, and if you have too much sugar, then it can be a bad thing. So the zone diet, or zone living as I like to call it, was developed by Dr. Barry Sears, an esteemed biochemist if you ever want to Google him. He saw the epidemic weight gain and obesity engulfing America, and that was primarily because of the food pyramid at the time, and what was being promoted in the early 80s was a high carbohydrate, low fat diet. And it unfortunately, even all of the really esteemed doctors in the medical community did not realize that this was not a good diet for the cells of the human body. It was actually very destructive, and that's kind of what spurred on the whole obesity trend in the US. Primarily in the US, because the US is 10 times larger than Canada. So I could say Canada, I could say North America, but it's primarily in the US. Okay, so through widespread research and social observation, he found that the root cause of the obesity epidemic was the hormone imbalance. In fact, one hormone more to blame than others was insulin, as I just mentioned. For those of you who don't know, and I just mentioned, the hormone insulin is responsible for controlling and maintaining your blood sugar levels. So if you eat too much sugar, what's going to happen is and you may have experienced this, your blood sugar goes up, you feel really good, serotonin kicks in, dopamine kicks in, you feel great, and then within about a half an hour, you crash.
Can I interject? Colton, you want to share your experience last week about this? William?
Sure. I didn't really eat one day, and I went out to the pond, and I might have or maybe passed out on the pond.
But what did you do before you went to the pond? You had what instead of
I had a 7-Up.
I had a 7-Up. So exactly what Andrew's,
Bingo.
said. So you spiked your insulin way up, and what happened?
And then I crashed.
And you crashed.
And then you crashed and you passed out. This is,
Good
I'm
times for
sorry,
that.
I'm really glad that you're okay, but it is such a wonderful example of what happens in our bodies when we have too much sugar. What happens when you eat sugar is your body releases insulin. Insulin is the hormone that flushes the sugar out of your body. Otherwise, you'd end up diabetic, because if you didn't have any insulin, you'd be diabetic. That's what makes diabetics diabetic. So your body produces insulin, and what happens is the insulin now moves throughout your bloodstream in order to remove that sugar. So what it does is I'm going to try not to get too technical here, because I do have a tendency to do that. Please jump in, coach, if you think that I'm getting too technical. What happens with the insulin is your body releases insulin as soon as you eat sugar. The insulin is the transport mechanism to get the glucose that you've just ingested into your cells, because without it being in your cells, it isn't going to do its job. So just think of the insulin as the bus. The insulin is the bus that takes the glucose into the garage. And the garage is your body where all your cells are housed. So if your body doesn't have the ability to move that insulin in, then you don't have any glucose in your cells, and it means that you have too much insulin in your blood, and that's what makes you type 2 diabetic. How that happens is, if you eat too much sugar all the time for a very long period of time, your cells are going to be like a garage door. So the bus is going to get to the garage door, and the garage door is going to go down, and the garage door is not going to go up, because it's going to say, I'm sorry, but you know what? You've been here too many times, and you've worn out your welcome, so we're not going to allow you in. And then what happens is the blood sugar ends up backing up in your bloodstream, and the insulin is not delivering it to your cells, so now you have high blood sugar, so now you have diabetes, and that is what's called type 2 diabetes. So what happened, Steve, is it?
Colton.
Colton, I'm sorry. What happened to Colton was he drank the 7-Up, really like 12 teaspoons of sugar, basically, all in the form of fructose.
Colton, sit there and eat 12 teaspoons of sugar on purpose?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
all in the form of fructose.
Connor might.
Just do it.
Fructose is also in corn syrup. Corn syrup is fructose. Now there's fructose in sugar in fruit, but that's okay because there's fiber in fruit. When you drink it, there's nothing in it that's going to slow down the release of that insulin. So it's just going to come rushing through, which is a really good thing because it's rushing it through to your cells and it's giving you a burst of energy. But what's going to happen is you're going to use that really fast because it's just straight sugar. So you're going to use it really fast. It takes about 15 minutes for your body to metabolize it. So after 15 minutes, your body's out of it. And this is what happens with food cravings. What happens with food cravings is you eat something that's processed because processed food is sugar. Processed food turns into sugar in your bloodstream. Everything you eat that comes out of a box will turn into sugar in your bloodstream. It's that simple. And I guess that's the way that I can keep it as simple for you as possible without getting into all of the whole, scientific part behind it. Just think of it. Everything you eat that comes out of a box will turn into sugar in your blood. And there's this thing called the glycemic index that will tell you how much sugar it's going to turn into. But the bottom line is, this isn't food. This is what we call non-food. It's food that's manufactured, but it isn't really going to do anything for your body. So when you think of feeding your body, you think of feeding your cells, you think of feeding your vitamins and minerals and things that are going to enhance your body's ability to function properly. Because we're machines. There is no question. We are a human machine. We are a brilliant, miraculous human machine. Hippocrates said a long, long time ago, let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food. And then the pharmaceutical companies came in after the Industrial Revolution, after the World War II, and everybody turned to pharmaceuticals. It was like, if I'm not feeling good, I'll just go to the doctor, and the doctor's going to give me a pill, and I'm going to feel better. If I get sick, I'll go to the doctor will give me medicine, and I'll feel better. But what has come full circle is the fact that Hippocrates was right. 70% of your cells that you're feeding are in your gut. So everything starts with digestion, and all disease, they say, starts in the gut, which makes perfect sense. That's where 70% of your immune system is. It's in your gut. It all starts with digestion. So when you eat, everything you eat is either feeding your body to be healthy, or it's feeding your body to become sick. And a good segue into what I had a conversation with Coach Nick about not too long ago. What I love about this and why I have such a passion for this diet with athletes and with working out, two things. Number one, it's the same diet as the metabolic reset diet, which is used for people that are pre-diabetic. So it's really good for people that are in my target market, which is the baby boomers. And the other reason is because it's excellent for people that are athletes. It feeds your cells to give you more energy and to keep you healthy, but it does, from a nutrition basis, exactly the same thing that CrossFit does from an exercise basis. So as you exercise, your body creates more cells. As you get older, your cells die off. If you're exercising and you're working out and you're moving, then your body's creating new cells. So you're programming your body for living. What you're saying is, I want to continue on. I want to keep going. I want to keep moving. I want to be active. I want to be vibrant. I want to have my brain working. Your brain's 60% cholesterol. So you need to feed your brain in order for your brain to keep working and functioning properly and to get those neurons firing. If you don't work out, your cells are still going to die off, but they're not going to create new ones. There's no reason for them to create new ones. ATP, which is energy, is developed in the mitochondria of the cell. Your oxygen is carried in your cells. If you are working out or you're active, you're going to need more cells. So your body's going to create more cells. If you're not moving and you're not active, your body isn't going to create more cells because you don't need them. So you're either programming your body to live long and healthy, or you're programming your body to say, I'm just going to go with whatever the body wants to do, and when it's time, it's time. So you do have control over these things, which I think is, exciting. Okay, on the surface, this whole procedure might seem very simple, straightforward, and fuss-free. However, there's a little catch. The trend of our eating has changed, as I just said. We've gone from eating complex, whole carbohydrates to eating simple processed versions. The major difference between these two is complex carbohydrates are digested slowly. Complex carbohydrates are things that aren't simple sugars. So it would be a carbohydrate that's a whole food that has fiber and other things in it, like potatoes and sweet potatoes and squashes and whole grains and oatmeal and things like that, quinoa, things that have fiber in them that are going to slow down the process of, like I said, with, Colton, I was going to say Connor. Colton, I'm so sorry.
There is a Connor here.
There is a
This is what happened with Colton. It wasn't a complex carbohydrate, it was a simple carbohydrate. There was nothing to slow down the process of him absorbing that sugar into his blood. It just went rushing through. Okay, so the results in what Dr. Barry Sears liked to call inflammation is what he likes to call inflammation, and that's the whole, blood sugar imbalance creates inflammation. Inflammation is a condition that affects the entire body, from our breathing mechanisms to our heart pumping activity. It has an influence on all of them. However, not a positive influence, a negative influence. That's not entirely true, because inflammation can be very good. Inflammation is part of the healing process. Have you ever noticed when you cut yourself, it gets all red and swollen? That's inflammation rushing to the site to help heal it. That's short-term inflammation. Short-term inflammation is healthy. Long-term inflammation, where there's no inflammation, they say there's no disease. So if there's no inflammation, there's no disease, so long-term inflammation is not good for your body. Older people, when they wake up in the morning sometimes, they hurt everywhere, nothing feels right, they complain about being stiff. Arthritis, all of that is caused by inflammation. Autoimmune disease is all caused by inflammation. Dr. Barry Sears further argues that food is like a drug, and I absolutely 100% agree. Some of you might be raising your eyebrows right now. It's understandable, but think of the effect that food has on our body. It nourishes us, rejuvenates us, and it helps us grow. However, if allowed to go out of hand, it can also poison us. The same food that we eat is consumed, if it's consumed in horrendous amounts, can do more harm than anything. And that harm can be slow but steady. People, when they get sick, they don't realize that they've been getting, like people that have a horrible diagnosis of cancer don't realize that it probably took 15 years for that to actually happen inside their body. There are many scientific studies supporting this claim. It's been proven that white sugar and other processed carbohydrates, like the stuff that comes in boxes, slowly kills your brain cells. If that's not an effect of a drug overdose, I don't know what is. So what's the answer? What are we supposed to do? Well, what I really love about this zone diet and this 40-30-30 diet is it's not really a diet. It's a diet because we refer to it as a diet. It's a way of eating. Think of diet as a way of eating, not diet as something that you need to do short term to lose weight. What happens with the zone diet is that you keep your blood sugar very stable so that you don't have any of those spikes, you don't have any peaks and valleys, you don't have inflammation, and you have more energy. I'll give you a classic example. When you work out, and I've done this, Coach Nick will definitely attest to this. Went out for dinner, decided to have dessert, decided to have a glass of wine, came in the next morning to work out and felt like a bag of crap. I said to the coach, I kept apologizing. I just started working out again in October, so here I am trying to be a superstar, and I'm like, huffing and puffing everything I do. Because my blood sugar wasn't stable. My blood sugar went up, my blood sugar came down, I had inflammation in my body, I wasn't feeling good, I wasn't alert. When you work out, especially with CrossFit, it increases your metabolism. It's high intensity interval training, increases your metabolism. This diet increases your metabolism. It does exactly the same thing. And they work synergistically together so well that when you work out, your body's going to create a little bit of inflammation. But if you're on this diet, the diet takes care of it very quickly because your blood sugar is balanced, so the inflammation goes away. So it's like short-term inflammation. It's like short-term recovery time versus long-term recovery time. So the first thing you need to do is divide your plate. Divide your plate into 40-30-30. The numbers in the ratio refer to the percentages of each food group that you should be eating. In the zone living, it suggests 3 meals a day and 2 snacks. Each of these meals should be approximately, you're not gonna be 100% on all the time, 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, 30% fat. Good carbohydrates, good proteins, and good fats. The next part is the fats. A lot of diets swear off fats completely on the basis that they make you fat. However, Dr. Barry Sears knows better. He understands the fact that fats are an integral food group and can be and should never be sworn off entirely. You need fats in your body. You need fats for your cells. You need fat. Your brain's 60% cholesterol. It needs fats, but it needs good fats. Your body needs good fats. Your joints need good fats, and it's really good for satiating your hunger, because it will give you that feeling of fullness for a longer period of time, and you get more energy from fat. It is true that you get more energy from fat than you do from glucose. However, you don't want to be on a nothing but fat diet. Part of the reason is, for every gram of food that you eat, there's 4 calories in carbohydrates and proteins, and there's 9 calories in a gram of fat. And calories do count. Although this is not based on calories, what you put into your body and what you expend in terms of energy makes a difference. As I said earlier, the main aim of the zone living is to ensure that your hormones are in balance so that inflammation can be prevented. When you eat meals that might be rich in one food group, for example carbohydrates, you might lose weight, but you won't be preventing your insulin spikes. I don't believe in any diet that is 100% fat, 100% protein, or 100% carbohydrates. You're not giving your body the nutrition that it needs, but bigger than that, it's just not sustainable long term. These are short-term diets that work for you to lose weight. This is why the multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry, I think the statistics are something like 2% or 5% of the people keep the weight off, because it's not a sustainable way of living. This is a very sustainable way of living. What happens with this diet is that because you're not spiking your insulin, the fat will fall off. Any fat that you have accumulated, because you're not storing it. Insulin is a fat storing hormone. Aside from the peaks and valleys, what happens if you eat too much, your body will store that glucose in the form of glycogen in your liver and in your muscles. Because it doesn't know that we're living in the 21st century and going to the mall and driving around in, 6,000 pound, 3,000 pound cars and things of that nature. Your body doesn't know that it's not living in paleo times or caveman times. So your body's still storing that glycogen in your liver and in your muscles in case for some reason you can't have access to food. If you can't have access to food, then your body through your liver is going to release those glycogen stores, turn them into glucose, and then that's going to be your energy source. But it's only going to store so much. So say the can of pop is a classic example. There's no nutrients in it, but your body's going to use as much as it needs, and it's going to store the rest. Well, what if you drank 12 cans of that pop instead of 1 can? And maybe it's not pop, maybe it's just, a whole bunch of processed food that comes in boxes and you're eating it and it's turning into sugar in your bloodstream, and you're storing part of it in your liver and part of it in your muscles because you might need it for later if you don't have access to food. Which could be the case even in this day and age. Who knows, you may be stuck in a traffic jam behind an accident for 12 hours. Then your body's going to release the glucose from your liver and from your muscles, and now you're going to have energy that's going to sustain you. But it can't store all of it. I mean, if you eat way too much food, your body isn't going to store all the excess sugar as, storage for later on. Insulin is the fat hormone. Anything that you don't use as energy and doesn't get stored in your liver and your muscles is going to be stored in your fat cells. When you're not doing that anymore, and you're not storing that extra fat in your fat cells, and you're expending more energy than is actually being stored, then the fat is going to start to come off. And the fat comes off in the form of fat, not in the form of water and not in the form of muscle, but in the just plain old-fashioned, the fat on your body is just going to come off. And it's going to come off over a period of time, And while it's coming off, you're gonna feel really good. So it's not like one of those diets that you go on that, you know, oh, well, this is like no pain, no gain. It's horrible, I hate it, I can't have anything, but you know, I just have to do it for a short period of time and then I'm gonna lose the weight. And then I can go back to eating the way I did and then I can gain it all back again. And feel horrible again. Okay, more energy. Athletes in their daily grind to develop mastery on the track, in the gym, other areas of sports, increase inflammation in their cells. Like I said, the zone diet reformats the body so that it's able to easily recover, so that you have a quick recovery time, so that you're not going through that, you know, I work out, I need to recover for a long time, I work out, I need to recover for a long time. Meal blocking. When Dr. Sears was working on developing the zone lifestyle, he noticed the fact that a lot of people had difficulty counting calories. It's boring anyways, who wants to count calories? And not everyone has access to calorie information about everything. This could cause problems in the diet as people either overeat or undereat, which is equally as bad. To combat this difficulty, he put everything into what's called a block. So meal blocking is a simple but borderline genius idea, easy to follow. Nearly every food known to man is in the blocks. So, for example, and I already talked about this, so I won't go on about it again, the number of grams of proteins, etc. But each block is 7 grams of protein, 1.5 grams of fat, and...
It's 9 grams.
Thank you. Why don't I have that in here?
We should edit that.
Yeah. Okay, so 7 grams of protein, 1.5 grams of fat, and 9 grams of carbohydrates. Now, there's actually 3 grams of fat because it's assumed that 1.5 grams of fat will be in your protein, which makes perfect sense, right? So when a follower like you is planning a meal, what you're going to plan to do is you're going to plan to put 40% of your meal in carbohydrate, 40% in, or 30% in fats and 30% in protein. And those 3 blocks will make a meal. According to the individual dietary requirements, the total number of blocks taken in a day can be tweaked. Okay, and then this part talks a little bit about female block requirements and male block requirements and athlete block requirements. So if you're 5 foot to 5'4" and you weigh up to 150 pounds, then you are going to be on 3 2-block meals a day and 2 2-block snacks a day. If you're 5'4" to 5'7", you weigh up to 170, you're going to be on 3 3-block meals a day and 1 block snack twice a day. A large female, 5'7", up to 208 pounds, will be on 3-block meals and 2-block snacks. So it makes it really easy for you to put a meal together. If you're athletic, then you're going to be on 4-block meals and 1-block snacks. Male requirements, 5'2" to 5'5", up to 160 pounds. You're going to be on 4 blocks for each meal and 2 blocks for each snack. 5'5" to 5'8", up to 185 pounds. You're going to be on 5-block meals and 1-block snacks. And an extra large male, which is up to from 6 feet to 6'4", up to 300 pounds, 4-block meals and 4-block snacks. Athletic male, any height, any weight, muscled, well-toned, 25 blocks a day, 5 blocks for each meal and 5 blocks for each snack. So what are the rules of this program?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What if you're still growing?
As in,
Like, the kids aren't gonna fall into any of those categories, because he's over, like, Colton's 5'10", but he's
Yes.
nowhere near whatever that weight was.
yeah,
Like,
I think
he's
it's-
maybe 120 pounds, but I certainly wouldn't want him to not be eating enough, because he's still
I'm gonna say all these kids, everybody in this room is probably under eating right now.
under eating.
Under eating, yeah, and probably
The
under eating
proper foods.
the proper amounts of foods and overeating probably more carbohydrates than anything, right? So in terms of the boys, I would feed them enough to sustain their output. These boys are very busy during the week, so they need to eat a heck of a lot more on a regular basis than say for a maintenance such as me and Frank or Steve and Wally, right? So in terms of the boys growing, you can adjust it. You can always add more, right? You can
So
always
if
add.
they're hungry, they're not eating enough. that how we should do it? I kind of feel like I'll have to sell my house.
You're gonna have to sell your health, yeah. Honestly, yeah, like if the boys are eating properly, you should watch them just grow. Like every week, you should notice some subtle changes in them. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah. So I think your question is, what do you start them on? And I would start them on what they are right now, and you can always add because they're gonna change and they're gonna grow from there. Chances are they're nowhere even near what the plan calls for, right? For their height, for their weight now, right? And then it'd be the same to say, like, when you start losing weight, if we have weight to lose, then do we go down to the next size? And I would say yes, right? So you're going to eat to where you're at now, lose that weight, and then drop down. Would that be safe to say?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then as you
Of course.
increase, so as the boys get older, say we start them at, a four block meal now, and we put them up
Yeah.
to a 1 block snack right now, right? Just to keep them in some sort of consistency. And then as we start adding more to their snacks, right?
Okay.
So we can go up to a 2 block snack, a 3 block snack, a 4 block snack. Game day, then we feed them, right? We can spike up their carbs maybe on a game day,
Absolutely,
right? We give them a little extra carbs that day, right?
yes.
So, make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Good question.
And excellent question, and when I actually go through the food plan, you're gonna see that there's a lot of food in the carbohydrate category, really good carbohydrates, but a lot of food, like I was quite surprised actually, but it's all good, I mean, it's not bad for you. Okay, so what are the zone rules? One of the first rules is to wake up and eat within an hour of waking. The reason for that is because you want to keep your blood, remember, just to remind you, this whole program is based on keeping your blood sugar stable. So you want to eat within an hour because what's breakfast? It's breaking the fast. You've been fasting all night. During the night when you are sleeping, your body is detoxing the whole night, just to let you know. That's when your body detoxes. So when you wake up in the morning, your body's detoxed and your body's empty. So it's empty of all your stores, and that's why you should eat within an hour of waking up. Subsequent meals.
Time out. How many people do that?
I'm close. I'm an hour and a half every morning in the week.
Good.
Because I get up at 4:30 and I have to be at work. I can't eat till I get there.
Right.
Yep.
So that's the first thing I do at work.
Good. That's awesome. Good habit. I probably don't eat till 11 o'clock, to be quite honest, and I get up at 6, so I don't eat within 5 hours. So you can imagine my athletic output if I actually was verbatim for this plan, right? So I'd be way more yoked than I am. Thanks, Steve.
It's a really good point though. You're gonna find, if you start eating like this and you're working out with Coach Nick, you're gonna find your energy level for your workouts is much better because your performance is gonna be enhanced. Because your blood sugar is stable, so you have more energy. Subsequent meals every 4 to 6 hours, but between that, a snack is 2 to 2.5 hours after a meal. If you're in the zone, you're not hungry and you have a clear mind, so that's how you know if your blood sugar is stable. Big difference between appetite and hunger. Hunger is when your stomach's growling and you haven't eaten and you know you're really hungry. Appetite is when you just finished eating but you want potato chips. That's your brain. And you know what, I could stand here for another hour and talk about the whole food industry and how they've got food scientists in the laboratories figuring out exactly how much fat, salt, and sugar they have to put into one of those packaged foods to get you addicted. So people that are overweight, it's not their fault. Your brain is much stronger than your hunger influence in your gut. And your brain and your gut, they communicate all day long. It's like an amazing communication system they have going. And if you're eating a lot of sugar and you're eating a lot of processed foods, your brain is going to be telling your gut, hey, they need more of that, like they're out, so you better give them more. So your brain is saying, I need more potato chips, I need more 7-Up. But your body doesn't need it, your stomach isn't telling you, it's your brain that's telling you. So there's a really big difference between what your brain wants and what your body wants. And you're programming it. You're programming it to tell, you're basically telling your body what to do.
Number 2.
Thank you very much. Oh, subsequent meals, we did that.
Okay.
Have a meal between 2 to 2.5 hours after a snack. Assess your hunger. If you're not hungry, then you're in the zone, you have a clear mind. That's the other really good benefit, is that the fact that this is really, really good for staving off any kind of dementia as you get older. Drink plenty of water. You should drink a half an ounce of water for every pound of body weight, and then you should drink an extra 24 ounces on the days that you work out. I kind of like to say an ounce of water for every pound of body weight is probably, look at this, not too much. There are some people that say, oh, I can't, it's a water, no, it has no flavor, it's never gonna sell.
Well, I can drink it, that's not just a lot of water.
It's a lot of water, but you can also add herbal teas. One of the things that I did this summer was I drank so much herbal tea when I was in school, I turned it into iced tea. I just made the herbal tea as I usually make it, and they have this one called Very Berry. It's made by Stash, it's organic, and I put it in the fridge and then I added ice to it, and it was delicious. Add a little bit of soda water and you get yourself a pop there. No pop. No pop. No diet pop either.
It includes iced tea on it.
Yeah, no beverages with sugar added, and no diet beverages. Aspartame is one of the worst possible things for your body, and it screws up your insulin because your body doesn't know what to do with it, but it's sweet. So if you want to have a sweetener, if you really like to have something in your coffee or something in your tea that's sweet, get stevia.
What does your body do when it doesn't know what to do with these
stores it.
processes? It stores
It
it in what
stores-
form?
For fat,
As fat.
diet pop and aspartame and Splenda are going to make you fat because your body doesn't know what to do with it, so it stores it in your fat cells. You've never seen a thin person drinking Diet Coke.
I'll drink today.
Carbonated mineral water. I used to be addicted to Diet Coke in my younger corporate days. I had Diet Coke for breakfast. I mean, that's how bad I was. And somebody said to me, because one of my girlfriends said, Doug, you have got to get off of that. It's my drug. It's what kept me going. I was working 80-hour weeks. But she said, you don't want the Coke, you want the carbonation. Get yourself some low sodium club soda or some mineral water and make it really, really cold. And then drink that. I went through cases of Perrier, and then I tried to drink a Diet Coke. I had 2 sips out of it and I threw it in the garbage. Most disgusting thing I had ever tasted. You can put lime in it, you can put lemon in it, whatever. Okay, the food chart. Here we go. Okay, the Zone Diet food chart's been created specifically to make shopping very easy for you. In creating meals and snacks, you simply choose your protein, choose your carb, choose your fat, and you have a meal. 1 block of protein means 1 block of carbohydrates and 1 block of fat. If you're on a 2 block or a 3 block or a 4 block, it's always even. If you have a 2 block snack, it's 2 of each. If you have a 3 block meal, it's 3 of each. 4 is 4 of each. But in the chart, every choice is equivalent to 1 block. So you multiply it times the number of blocks that you have allocated to you. Oh, here's where it says 9 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
Thank you. So each block, as you will see, don't have to worry about calories. You're getting 7 grams of protein, 1.5 grams of fat, and 9 grams of carbs in every block that you eat. Very balanced. Okay, now we're going to get to the food lists. And I did them in color so that you would see the best choices, then the next best choice, and then the next best choice, and at the very bottom it's like, there are no good carbs here. So those are the ones that are in bright yellow when we get to them. So as a protein block, you will see that 1.5 ounce chicken breast, deli style, is one block.
Deli meat.
Deli meat, yeah.
Cold cuts.
1 ounce of white chicken breast is 1 block. So if you're on a 3 block, say you're on a 3 block meal, so you're going to take any one of these proteins and you're going to multiply it times 3. So if you have 1.5 ounces of ground turkey is 1 block, so you're going to multiply that times 3, and you're going to have 4.5 ounces of ground turkey.
So that would be your serving of protein per that 3-block meal. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It looks like a lot of info here, but the zone diet, what I like about it is, you know, you hear people counting calories. Well, this is really easy math, and for me, not being a math guy, this really resonates well with me. But you don't have to be a math guy. You could be a math guy, and this is really simple math. That's all it is, right? So it takes that calorie portion, it allows for that, and it's just a derivative of that. Derivative, that's a good word for a math guy. Hey, hey, nailed that.
Very good.
So it basically dumbs it down for you. You times it, if you're a 3-block person, or you're having a 2-block meal or a 1-block snack, that's your snack amount. You times that number here that's given, and you times that by your block amount. Is everybody clear on that? Makes sense, guys? Kids, guys? Easy math, yeah? Woohoo! Sweet.
Right, because they're gonna be sitting up there measuring it all out.
What it does is it teaches everybody.
It makes them aware of a portion, right? You
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to, I'm not saying, guys, you have to weigh and measure your food every meal. Once you get a hang of it, you weigh and measure for a week, you're gonna see what it looks like on your plate, and you're gonna understand how to divide your plate then, right?
Exactly.
The more you weigh and measure specifically each meal, the better this program, this plan, it will work for you though, of course, right? The more accurate we stay, right? So is that the same to say for carbohydrates when we get into fats and carbs? So fats, you're gonna have a list of fats here, guys.
Yep.
And all the list is it's an amount, and then you times that amount by that block range that you're eating in. Okay, got it for fats, and we got it for carbs.
I just want to take a minute to touch on carbs and to touch on fats. Fats, you will see, for example, 1/3 of a teaspoon of coconut oil.
Oh, right there.
Okay, so that's one.
Half teaspoon.
So if you're on 3 blocks, then you have 1 teaspoon full of coconut oil is a fat. Peanut butter, I think it's a 1/2 teaspoon, so 1.5 teaspoons of peanut butter is a protein for your meal, not 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, which is worth a lot of us run into problems.
6 peanuts is one block, so 3-block meal, 18 peanuts, nailed it, yeah, good math.
Yeah.
How many of us just go to the bag of peanuts and take a handful?
I don't know how many of us just take the peanuts and eat them till the bag is gone, depending on the size of the bag. Okay, cooked vegetables and carbohydrates. I just want to spend a little bit of time on carbohydrates because this is going to make up probably half of your plate, at least. When you take a look at the amount of carbohydrates you can have, there is no need for anybody to ever be hungry. If you're on a 3-block meal, then you can have 12 cups of cauliflower. Who's going to sit down and eat 12 cups of, or you can have 1 plain donut.
Boys are like, donuts? I'm in.
A third
Dash in.
You just hooked Colton into this whole diet.
of a plain
No pop, we
donut.
can have donuts.
You can have everything.
We can have everything.
There is nothing restricted on here, which is what's great about it. But you can have 1/3 of a plain donut or 4 cups of cauliflower.
Are these, what's this, French fries? Is that McDonald's French fries?